Hey, this is Gavin Gaddis in for Tom Webster for Sounds Profitable on today, Wednesday, July 8th, 2026. The Podcast Atlas, Part 2, What the Screen Adds. Cracking open the Atlas reveals data on how video podcasting works as an ad environment. But first, Podcast Movement has received over 750 submissions from over 500 unique speakers for the upcoming Podcast Movement New York City Conference. The next phase of conference selection has begun, with public voting now open from July 7th through 21st. Half of NYC sessions will be chosen by public vote, and the other half will be selected by a public committee using a published evaluation rubric designed to prioritize content quality while building a program that reflects the breadth of today's podcast industry. And as your usual reminder, this is written by Tom Webster, so everything from here on out is in first person from his perspective. Audio podcasting builds the trust. Video gives it a screen to work with. The Podcast Atlas treats the two as separate territories for a reason. They do different jobs in advertising. Audio earns the belief in screen-free parts of the day, and video puts that same belief in front of people when they're sitting down to watch. Here are 5 things the data says about video as an ad environment, starting with the one advertisers notice first. Number 1. Video shortens the path to action. Start with what people do once the ad is over. We asked each platform's most engaged users, the people we call primes, what they did after seeing an ad, and on every action, video runs ahead of audio. After an ad, percentage who made an immediate purchase, audio gets 10, video gets 15%. Took a screenshot, audio podcast 14%, video get 19. Wrote down a promo code, 18% for audio, 20% for video. And searched for brand info, 34% for audio, and 35% for video podcasts. Look at where the lift lands. The biggest gap sits on the action that matters most to an advertiser, with immediate purchases running 15% for video against 10% for audio. Half again as many people buying on the spot. Screenshots, the modern version of tearing out a page to come back to, climb from 14 to 19. Promo codes written down tick up from 18 to 20, and brand searches, already as strong for audio, edge higher to 35. Every rung on the ladder from curiosity to purchase is a little more crowded on video. The summary number ties it together. 67% of video primes took at least one action after an ad, against 63% for audio. But a good part of that gap is the platform, not the persuasion. Video lives on surfaces built for the click. A like, a subscribe, a link in the description, sometimes a buy button sitting right under the player. You can't click on an audio ad. Audio, for all of its intimacy, gives you almost nothing to tap in the moment. Some of the lift is the ad doing the work, and some of it is simply the surface making the next step easy to make. Measure the two at formats by the same yardstick, and audio will always look like it's falling behind when really there's just less on screen to press. For an advertiser, the distinction matters less than it looks because the result is the same either way. On video, the distance between wanting something and doing something about it is short, and the environment is built to close it. Number 2, it does that without giving up any trust. The obvious worry is that video buys action by trading away the credibility audio is known for. It doesn't. Across every trust dimension the Atlas measured, video primes rate video level with or slightly above audio. Identical on community, 59% each, effectively tied on connection, 57 to 56, and a step ahead on both transparency about sponsorships, 57 to 53, and whether the ads provide useful information, 54 to 50. If anything, the screen deepens the bond because people will actually see the creator, and the parasocial pull audio builds by voice alone gets a face to go with it. The two places video does pull ahead are the ones that matter most. Sponsorship transparency and genuinely useful ads are exactly what make a commercial message land. For an advertiser, that's the part that matters because the added conversion lands on top of the trust account rather than being drawn out of it. Number 3, it commands the most dedicated attention of any format. Video earns the highest fully or mostly attentive scores of any format in the study, 81%, ahead of audio at 77% and clips at 74%. It leads the field, and it leads it in the mode that counts. There's a myth to kill here because the reflex is to assume that heavy video viewers have short attention spans, and the data says the opposite. What they have is better filters and higher standards. The tools let them pick and discard in seconds, so nobody has to be a completionist anymore. But once someone finds the thing that they actually want, they give it a real sustained time. More telling is when they watch. 54% name, quote, relaxing with dedicated attention, end quote, as a top viewing context, the single highest context for any format anywhere in the study. Where audio owns the hand-busy hours, video owns the lean-back ones, the times when someone has chosen to sit down and give the screen their eyes. That's the environment you want when the ad has something to show, a product to demonstrate, or a result to put on screen, rather than just something to say. Number 4, consumers are more receptive to ads on video podcasts than ads overall on YouTube. Put video podcasts next to YouTube ads among each one's primes, and video wins 5 of the 6 attributes. Those attributes being authentic and natural, useful information, relevant to me, memorable, and non-disruptive. Walk the list and the pattern is clean. Video ads read as more authentic and natural, 50% to 45%, carry more useful information, 54 to 49, feel more relevant, 46 to 44, land as more memorable, 43 to 40, and, widest of all, come across as far less disruptive, 38% to 32%. YouTube leads on exactly one attribute, personalization, 40 to 38, which is its targeting engine doing precisely what it's built to do. Everywhere a person reads an ad, the creator-integrated spot beats the served pre-roll, and it wins biggest on staying out of the way. Knowing more about the viewer doesn't win the moment if the ad feels like an interruption. Number 5, it complements audio rather than replacing it. Among people who consume both formats, video is the plurality preference. 37% lean toward video, 34% have no preference either way, and 29% lead towards audio. Put it another way, 71% of dual consumers either prefer video or are perfectly happy to watch it, and that split shifts with content and mood rather than hardening into displacement. Sometimes these are different people, and sometimes they're the same person in a different context, the hour and the headspace deciding which one they reach for. That matters for how the two channels get bought, because an advertiser who runs only one of them leaves somewhere between a third and a half of the available audience on the sidelines, purely on format preference. Buy them together, and the same person is reachable across more of the day and more of their attention than either format touches alone. The audience is already willing. 73% say they'd follow a host they like from audio into video. The clearest sign that the two are less rival buys than two doors into the same relationship. That's the case for video. In the lean back moments against the platforms with every targeting advantage, it turns attention into something you can measure. But it does that by building on what audio starts, not by replacing it. The belief audio earns in the screen-free hours is the same belief video puts to work when the screen is on. The two are worth buying as one system, each doing the job the other can't. For more, please download the podcast atlas linked in the description. Here you can also watch the webinar where Tom walks you through all of the territories of the podcast map. Thank you, as always, to our wonderful research sponsors. That would be SiriusXM Podcast Network, ESPN Podcast, BetterHelp, NPR, and American Public Media, as well as our research partners at Signal Hill Insights. Next week, we're looking at clips. Thank you for listening to Tom's article, The Podcast Atlas, Part 2, What the Screen Adds. For Sounds Profitable, I'm Gavin Gaddis, and we'll see you next week for another narrated article.